My next guest is dropping down to the featherweight division. He's going to be taking on Chase Hooper on October 29th at UFC Fight Night. It is Steve Garcia back here on the program. Steve, how are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing?
Doing great. Love the fact. I always love that you do the interviews in the car because it's good lighting. It's quiet. So appreciate the veteran move on that one, man. But really exciting fight here with Hooper. When did you find out? It looked like you got a full camp.
Yeah, I got a full camp. I found out I had 10 weeks, something like that. So
Nice.
I mean, it was a good amount of time. So we've been training ever since, man.
Yeah. Was this the right amount of time off in between fights, or were you hoping to fight a little bit sooner?
Honestly, I kind of wanted it to be spaced out just a little bit more, just because I had an injury going into my last fight that I was trying to get it taken care of. But you know what? We had to speed up the process, and it's all good. We're back on track, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, and a lot of fighters want to fight Chase. Obviously, he's made a pretty big name for himself, and with not a ton of experience. Just how excited were you to get this matchup?
You know what, man? I'm always excited. You know, having him as being my opponent, he has a lot of recognition. He has some hype around him, and you know what? I just like to watch him, man. He's always that fun character, kind of watch, kind of goofy. He like to. You know what I mean, obviously we all know that he's a grappler. He loves his jiu-jitsu. He's very good at it. But you know, he has a dog in him too, and I like that. So I'm excited for the matchup. I think it's gonna be a good fight, and yeah, man, I can't wait.
And you're dropping down to 45. For those who don't remember, you fought as low as bantamweight. Is this a permanent move, or are you just doing it for this fight? What's the decision process in terms of you going down to featherweight?
Right now, featherweight is where I'm at. You know, I fought 35, probably including my amateur, maybe 20, 28 fights, something like that. Did 45, you know, 3 or 4 times, you know, and then obviously I had some issues. I had to go to 55 just medically. So now we're coming back down. I think, you know, I'm just kind of in this teeter-totter situation, but 45 is where I plan to kind of just, you know, be at. You know, that's probably where my best body frame will benefit me the most. And I think 45 is going to be the spot for me.
So why now is the time to go down to 45? Because you mentioned there you had some issues. Was it just you know, did you do a test cut, or take me through the process of telling the UFC you're like, hey, I'm a featherweight now?
So my last fight, so I obviously fought at lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
I weighed in at 155, and I couldn't put any weight on. So I went into that fight at 160 pounds, while my opponent was probably 175, 180, whatever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, you're pretty small right now. That's not a good idea. And I was like, yeah. I had a long camp. You know, I was supposed to fight Demir Hatsevich, I think in April or something like that. So I had a 3-month camp for that, and then I had another 3 months. I think it was 2.5, 3 months before I fought Mashate. And by that time, man, my body was just it was thrashed. I wanted to get it just over with at that point. It was just enough training, enough stalling. I just wanted to just compete. And you know, obviously shit happens, but you know, we're here now. It's, you know, past is past. You know, yesterday was yesterday, and today's today. So now we just focus on what's ahead.
Yeah. And then what is ahead is Chase Hooper. We mentioned their 11-2 record. Obviously, he's you know, known for his grappling, but how are you looking at this fight from a style perspective? Is it just as simple as, hey, I'm fighting a grappler, or do you see something else that maybe we're not seeing?
You know, man, he's developing the striking. So you can't sleep on that. You can't sleep on that. The one thing that I'll credit, he has a good one too. His kicks, you know, they'll kind of come from different angles. I mean, nothing I've seen him throw have been devastating, you know, knockout kicks or anything like that. But I mean, more or less, it's a striker versus grappler matchup, you know. Yeah. So okay. I take it as, you know, obviously be ready for the grappling. Make sure that you do everything that you can possibly do because he also what do you call it? He almost kind of gas you out on the ground, if that makes sense. He will just grapple with you, make you work for positions, make you have to move. And honestly, it tires a lot of people out. People, they just they start to crumble. You know what I mean? So I'm just getting ready for that. So he does oppose. He has a lot of like uh, weapons that people I think underestimate, and just because he's young, just because of that, like you can't knock him for it. Like he is still learning and all that. But this kid, I in my personal opinion, he's gonna be really really good because he's already good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But he's
Yeah.
22. I mean, can you imagine him at 30?
I
You
know.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's the crazy thing. Yeah, it's such a unique circumstance for him because
Yeah,
obviously he had the developmental deal, and then he won some fights, and then he's in the UFC, but he's kind of learning on the job at the same time because he's so young, right? So it's a very unique circumstance. So
it is a
yeah.
unique circumstance, but more power to him because he's doing it at a high level.
Mhm.
And I kind of had to do the same thing. We've been in similar shoes, and that's why I think I like people like Chase because you know what? Like my second pro fight, I was fighting in Bellator. You know what I mean? And
I
like
remember that.
I
Yeah.
had a 7 fight contract back then. And I knew every time I got in that cage, it was against someone really really good. Regardless if they didn't have a name or not, it doesn't matter. They were still good. And
Yeah.
that's how it is. How he's learning. You know what I mean? So I just have been in those shoes, and so I always respect those people. And Chase Hooper has my respect as it is already. So um, now we're just gonna go out there and punch each other in the face until someone gets their hand raised. So that's what it comes down to.
I know Tony Ferguson was at your camp before his last fight. Did you get a chance to work with him? And if so, how was that?
Man, I didn't get to like actually like get like hands on with him. He was actually training in the heavyweight class because he made his move to 170.
That's right.
But I got to like talk to him and like kind of introduce him. I kind of like fanboyed out. I was like, bro, I was like, let me tell you this, dude. I was like, I'm not here to like bust your nuts or anything like that. I was like, I just want to come and introduce myself. And he's like, oh, don't worry about that, man. Let's take a picture. And he was super cool. So it was awesome because I love watching Tony. Tony's
Who
one
doesn't?
of
He's
those guys
amazing. Yeah.
that like, yeah, I was like, you got to tune in and watch Tony. You know what I mean? So it was super cool. And man, I was like, because obviously he puts on this like image, for the media and stuff like that. But he's really a down to earth dude, and he really knows how to um, have like a conversation. He just, I don't know. He was a pleasure to have at the gym.
Good. And what about training partners for this camp? Who have you mainly worked with leading into the fight?
A lot of grapplers, really. It's kind of hard to find bodies that mimic him. So a 6 foot 6'1" grappler is kind of hard to find at a lightweight. So I've been using the heavier weights for my striking because they're taller, and then I've been using like my guys like Andrew Tennyson. I have a buddy, training partner. His name's Damon. He just got in the UFC. He just fought. Who did he fight? He just fought.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah. He just got in. So I've been working with him and just been honestly just grabbing just bodies to roll with. Um, Obviously we have Pico here, but Pico was training for his fight. He has his, had his look. My look's a whole lot different. Um, but yeah, man, I just use all these guys that I have access to, and it's he's southpaw too, so I had to find a southpaw or have them change their stances, just to kind of simulate what I go through. So he's been tricky to mimic, which is strange for me, but yeah, he's a little tough guy to kind of like train for.
So today is October 3rd. How's the cut going out of 45 right now? How are you feeling good?
Spirits are high. Obviously, cutting weight's never fun. So that's the con of fighting and losing and dropping weight and stuff like that. But the body feels good. The body feels ready, and we got about a month. So I think you know we'll be ready to scrap here in a month.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I gotta say about that.
Your corner, who will be in the cage with you?
I'll have Wink, Greg, and my dad. So kind of
Okay,
my
yeah.
same wrecking crew.
Yeah, figured as
Um,
much.
yeah, so I got some of the best guys in the world right there talking me through things that I might not be able to see. So, you know, couldn't be more confident to have, those guys in my corner.
How's this fight playing out? The one thing with Chase, to his credit, he's really durable. He's a tough guy to put away. So
Yes.
how are you looking at this one with all that said?
And I'm never ever trying to get to a decision. So my answer is to always look for that finish. Um, like you said, he's super durable. He can take a shot, man. I've seen him take shot after shot after shot we're just gonna have to figure it out, man. I'm gonna have to put some things together. I'm gonna have to look at it and just see if I can just expose something that just gonna dictate, the fight and just be able to lead the dance. Um, like I said, he's super durable, he's super tough. I think that when the time comes, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier than done. Like you just got to read that fight while you're in it, and yeah, he's gonna be a task for me. But that's what we do. We're here, we're fighting. At the end of the day, you just kind of just almost like fight with everything you got. See if he's still standing at the end of it, and if he makes it, then I guess it's in the judge's hands. But
Uh,
yeah,
Before we get out of here, I was just curious, how many more fights do you have left in your contract? Do you know?
my last one.
Wow, so stakes are high, man. This is good, especially like you said, if you go out there and finish Chase Hooper, that's got to be nice when you go back to the negotiating table, right?
It'd definitely be good. Definitely be good. So I'm trying not to focus too much on that.
Mhm.
Focus is beating him. Beat him
Yeah,
every single position on the feet, on the ground, wrestling. Just I want him to be discouraged to do what he needs to do. And I know it's a very, very tough task, but you know what? I've done it several times. I just gotta, just keep that mindset to almost be just a dominating force and just go in there and do my thing.
love it. Steve, thanks so much for doing this. I don't want to keep you away from the rest of your day here. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors or any social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
Oh, thanks, man. Always like God first, man. Like for me, that is number one. God's first for me, and uh, I know I say this all the time, but I was born dead. Like that, I shouldn't be here. I'm here now though, but I'm here to do big things, and I've done accomplished a lot of big things. So I always give Him His glory, and my family, my wife Mariah is always holding it down and supporting me. I probably wouldn't even be here without her. Uh, my kids and my son and my daughter, and obviously my mom and dad, my brother. You guys are great family. My coaches, Mike Wink, Winkle John, and Greg Jackson, Bowie Bada, and then just everybody behind me. Everybody behind me. I have sponsors that have helped me too, and Brad Maestas and FMI Facility Services always helped me. So, all you guys, thank you for tuning in, helping me where you can, and I just hope to do you proud. And you, man, thank you for having me on too.